Great. So welcome to this course, which is about interpolation. Sampling and zero about business. Simple out for units. Makes sense. Okay, so what's the so what is the basic problem? The basic problems of interpolation and sampling are of this sort. What's the notation here? So suppose we have an F, family of functions. On some space X, typically it's a vector space with some topological structure. Okay, and then the sampling problem, and then consider that the subset of F, typically it's a sequence. One to infinity or finite sequence, whatever it is. So the sampling problem is so the sampling problem.
Z is a subset of X.
No,
Z is a subset
of X. Yes. Okay. So the sampling problem. Is it is the one to reconstruct some function in the family from its centers on Z, which is typically we consider functions with values in complex numbers, though it might be real numbers, it might be a Banach space. Possibly, okay, possibly. So we want, given the values of F at the points Zn, we'd like to reconstruct F in some way. Okay? Algorithm, formula, and so on. So that's the sampling, which is of course very popular among visitors, among engineers and numerical people. And okay, so basically what we want to have is some formula that given the restriction of F to Z, we have some procedure which reconstructs F. Now, the interpolating problem is somehow the opposite one. It is for which Z in X we can find a function F in our family with the prescribed value. Okay, this is the very most general form. So that means that given a sequence AN, we see find an element F in my family, so that F of Zn is equal to AN for N. In this generality, maybe asking too much, as we will see in concrete problems. Typically, we are, how to say, kind of a measure of prudence is required with reasonably described values, which is typically, we don't consider all possible sequences of values, but the sequences of values which are reasonable for these functions in our space. And then the problem of zeros, it is a kind of sub-problem with problems of zeros. There exists a function f, my family, different than zero. Okay, in this case, it is a problem which makes sense if we have a linear space different than zero. So that the restriction of f is equal to zero. Okay. That's basically how to say it. In a very vague description of these problems. And in fact, there are many formulations for any of these problems. And we're going to see some of them in particular cases. Okay. So let's so I think we decided to start from the most basic example, which is polynomials. So start from high school mathematics, or almost high school mathematics. Just to have an idea some of the phenomena occurring here. Okay, so let's start with the problem of zeros. So let me fix some notation. So P of Z, these are polynomials. And Cn of Z, or maybe less or equal than nz, it is the polynomials with usually equal than n, and Cn of Z polynomials exactly n. So the problem of zeros, it's pretty much solved. That that's better. That given that n c, there is possibly with the repetition, there exists a polynomial having degree exactly n, so that 0, and all of such polynomials that inform n. And also if polynomial has degree n, and the polynomial of 0 for the one that n, then this polynomial vanishes. So there are really no, the zeros polynomials. Maybe I missed something. All right. If you have the polynomial solution, see possibly repetitions. So what about interpolation? So interpolation. So below I consider Z as a set of n points distinct. Everything I say can be said if we have points with repetition, then formulas become more complicated. Okay, so the problem is it is given W1, Wn complex numbers, find a polynomial of degree no more than n-1, so that P of set J J. So that's our interpolation problem. To find the polynomial of degree less or equal than n-1, which means that the polynomial will be, I don't know where I want to start with the coefficients. I guess I want a 0 plus a1z plus a n-1. 1. Okay. So this really this is a problem in linear algebra because we can write it as a So we can write it as a this way. So if we consider the equation P of Z is equal to W, where Z and W are these guys, that looks pretty much like one Z1 and this one, etc. This we have a 0 plus a1 z1 plus a2 z1 squared plus blah blah blah, an minus 1 z1. This was the power of this guy. And minus 1 is equal to W1, and the same for the 2, the 3. And of course, this has a unique solution. So let's call this matrix B that 1 that n. Matrix. And this problem has a unique solution. So there is a unique solution P, which means there is a unique vector of coefficients for function P, because, well, that's a linear problem, because the determinant of this Vandermonde matrix is the product for J, for I less than J, between 1 and N of Zi and Zj, which is bigger than 0 because all of these points are disjoint. Okay. So this is a classical result. If you want to have fun, you can show it an exercise. So it means that so what this says that the problem, the interpolation problem is that J equal to Wj has a unique solution has a unique solution. P of degree that could refer an n1. In fact, after we look at this, we can even write down a formula because we have these determinants, and there is a theorem. I don't remember what's the name of the author of the theorem, expressing the solution of this in terms of ratio of determinants. It's Cramer. Cramer, yes. Cramer. So if you use Cramer theorem, actually you get that if you consider for J1n, consider the function fj of z, which is the determinant of Z1, and here instead of Zj, you put Z in the J position, and everything else is the same over the determinant. And here we put the original Zj. That. So, can you deny that fj is a polynomial of degree n? I would say no. I mean, that's, so you plug the z here, n minus 1, sorry. N minus 1. Because you plug z here instead of zj, and the biggest term is j something. Okay. Exactly n minus 1. Because whatever is left decomplemented. So another random determinant. And this fj as that j is equal to 1 for sure, because that's same numerator and denominator, and fj of that k is equal to 0 if k is different than j. Because I have the determinant. Because two of the same rows, two rows coincide here. So these are called the Lagrange polynomials, I think. So here, Italy and France, they have both a claim on Lagrange, but Lagrange was born in Turin, was called the Lagrange, but in France he was offered a better salary, so he moved to France and made his family name more social somehow. But anyhow, so Lagrange. Okay, so basically, so since these functions here, right? So on our point, these are on the relevant points. The Lagrange polynomial is always 0, but at this point, so this is a polynomial of degree less or equal than n minus 1, and it takes the value at zk, takes the value wk. That's so as an exercise, you might want to parameterize all solutions, to the problem for the J with the degree of P less or equal than n-1, but with that one z not just n plus n. With n greater than 1. So basically, can you write a formula like this for the solution to this problem, but which gives you all solutions? So it means that you want to have this P depends on linear algebras as n parameters. You can by adding points, but no, adding some. No, wait a second, maybe. So there was something wrong here. This is impossible, what I told you. What you can do, it is a degree of P less or equal than n minus 1 plus n. That's better. Okay, great. So this is interpolation. And interpolation, you see that it's based, in this case, on finding a function in my class, a polynomial of degree less or equal than n minus 1, which is a 0 everywhere, but at one point where it is 1. Okay. This is the best of possible works. And we will see later in this course that sometimes this carries on, sometimes it doesn't, and different ideas are required. Okay, and what about sampling? I guess sampling when we just write. Okay, so I look at this formula here, and I say, okay, sampling the formula will be P of z is equal to sum for j from 1 to n of f jz times P of j. Because, okay, so the right-hand side, computed at that j is equal to P of zj for j from 1 to n. Is that enough to say that this function here, which has the correct values at any points, is my polynomial P? Well, this works only if, so this formula here solves the problem. Sampling, I put the restriction that the degree of P is less or equal than n minus 1. Because if I have, okay, because if P is a polynomial of degree less or equal than n minus 1, well, because the left-hand side and the right-hand side are the same, so the left-hand side z is equal to the right-hand side of z, has n solutions. This equation has n solutions, and this implies that the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side if the degree is less or equal than n minus 1, because the only polynomial of degree less or equal than n minus 1 having n zeros is 0. So they coincide. And so here, okay. And here you see that that there is a kind of expected a kind of trade-off so the problem, so let's say, my tech data is a sampling set, is a sampling for it is a sampling set for polynomials of small degree, and it is interpolating for polynomials of large degree. That's kind of natural. Because if I have a sampling set for a family of functions, well, that's sampling also for smaller families. And if I have an interpolating, if I have a sequence which is in a family for which a sequence is interpolating, I enlarge the family of functions, and that sequence is still interpolating. So I can find a solution in the smaller family. Okay. Other questions? So I will put some, I will scan this note and put them on the web page. Okay, so this was kind of the most basic, I think, most basic universe where these problems make sense. And now, let me go to another example, which is this comes from complex variables plus engineering. So it is the second is Shannon. So a disclaimer, Shannon came with this in, I think, 1944, 45, something. I say 45. Was a bad level. But the result itself was known before to Kotelnikov in Russia, but even before Kotelnikov, it was known to Tecker, even before just known, there are historians doing these things. The point is that Shannon in the mid-40s was laying down the foundations of information theory, at least a version of the foundations of information theory, which has become the foundations of information theory, and this sampling theorem was a cornerstone. So he proved it, and he knew what to do with that. And 2 years later, all engineers in the world knew about it. Well, they didn't know about the Tecker and then. So what's the theorem? So theorem is, we will go back on this object. So first, let me, okay, first, let me put here a handbook of consider, okay, for a function f of t, where this f, we define f hat omega as, I don't know if here it is right, yes, it is right, the integral between minus infinity and infinity of f of t e to the minus 2 pi I omega t dt. You should think of t as a time, and you should think of omega as a frequency. So this is the contribution given to the signal f. F is a signal in time. A contribution comes from the frequency omega, and this contribution can be put to this. But for us, we're doing pure mathematics, so to speak. What we're interested in is that f of x. Now, I'm very vague about hypothesis. F of x can be reconstructed as the integral between the minus infinity and plus infinity of f at omega into the 2 pi I omega t, the omega. So basically, the relation between time and frequency is the same as the one between frequency and time. And the integral of t squared is the L2 norm of that is the same as the L2 norm of f. Plus infinity so let me just say, okay, here I didn't say about nothing about the hypothesis, but let me say that if f is in L1, which means integral finite, then f hat is continuous on R, and in fact also the limit as omega goes to plus minus infinity f omega is equal to 0, and of course since the Fourier transform, which is this one, okay. Since the Fourier transform is the same as the inverse transformation, we also have that if f hat if in L1 of R, then F is in C0. C0 of R means that the function is continuous and that. So to have both things. Okay, that's everything we need to know about Fourier transforms. So what is the fixed A or the number? Then debated in the space. In space, B like A, will be taken of all functions so that F is in L2. F is in L2, which means that it's going to this finite, and the at omega is equal to 0 for omega greater than A, which means that which means that we have two functions. So there is a here there is a time, and here there is frequency, and then here there is my F, and here there is my F effect. And here there is A over 2. Okay, so here there is minus A over 2, A over 2. So I want to have it. By the way, this is a very reasonable assumption, because if you have a signal in real time or in your device, you expect its frequencies to be bounded. Okay? This is, of course, a statement which can be should be read critically. But say we can hear a sound between in a certain range of frequencies, so we expect when we take a signal representing the sound, we expect it to have frequencies bounded here. Actually, we expect frequencies bounded above and below in the ears. What I say can be criticized in several ways. Because this Fourier business assumes any monochromatic thing to go on for an infinite time, which is, of course, not true. And then there are Gabor frames. Gianluca knows everything about, so he would give a course about. And
I can give a seminar if you want.
Yes?
Another.
You're welcome to do. Okay, so that's a Perivina station. And the problem in 10 minutes, we have another problem. We have to decide whether we have a break of 10 minutes or not. But let me get I leave this solution to the other. Okay. Okay, that was a handbook. And let me put here another handbook of Fourier theory. Because before there was a handbook of Fourier transforms, the handbook of Fourier series. So what we need to know about Fourier series is that if phi is a function which is in L2 of the interval minus A/2, A/2. Okay, function which is equal to for that. And I define by height of n as an interval between minus A/2 and A/2 of phi, which is the letter I want to use, omega, say, times here I'm thinking of the variable as a frequency, because thinking of this picture here, e to d, and maybe here I want to have a plus, but it is 2 pi I n omega over a. Yes, in omega, where n is an integer. So this is the nth Fourier coefficient. Okay. Fine. Then we have, and I have to read because there is always an A. Then we have a inverse. We can reconstruct the function phi by sum over n of phi at n. Here there is a plus, so here you put a minus n omega over a, and here I think I have 1 over a. Yes. And also I have that the L2 norm of phi which is the integral omega is the same as sum over n by hat n square, and here probably there is 1 over a. Yes, there is. Okay, so this is everything we need to know from in this moment for about Fourier theory. What is now Shannon-Semplin theorem? So we have this theorem. Which is Shannon-Semplin. We said that if F belongs to the Bailey linear space, which means the F hat is supported between minus a over 2, then F is continuous, in fact, and can be reconstructed by its samples. So for all D, I can reconstruct f of t as and now there is some coefficient that I should not forget. Sum for n minus infinity plus infinity of each sample n at n over a, and a picture, times the sink of phi ax 18 minus n. Where the thing of x is 7x over x, where at x is equal to 0, that's 1. So say that in these 3 minutes, so this is the sampling formula. So why this says that the value of my function f at t can be reconstructed if I know f at on the integer, well, rescaling by that. So let me say. So let me make a couple of remarks. So first remark is a picture that, well, here there is the real line, timeline, and we have 0, and we have 1 over a, and we have 2 over a, we have 3 over a, plus minus 1 over a. Well, and this is my function f. And so I can reconstruct the function f from these samples. That's why it's called a sample here. Okay. And observe that if I consider a very small, so I have a lot of information about the frequencies. I said the frequencies are between here and here, so not they are spread all over. So if I have a lot of information, which means a very small, then 3 over a is very large, which means that I can sample, here and here. And there, I have this sampling step is very large. If I have not much information, which means that a is very large, then 1 over a is very small, which means I have to take samples which are more frequent samples. Okay. More frequent samples. Second, f belongs to 0 r in an understatement. In all possible meanings of the expression, because in fact, f is the restriction to the real line of an analytic function, something which we will prove. It's a linear theorem. By the way, Shannon was an engineer. Wiener was a mathematician and an engineer. Although I read that he thought of himself as a philosopher. A philosopher who was doing mathematics just to get a salary, and engineering because he was curious about the world. And anyway, third remark is that, okay, what about this sinc function? Okay, this sinc function is what when we teach calculus courses, we always mention it as a function which is integrable, but not absolutely integrable on the real lines. Okay, it's more interesting than that. So this is sinc function. When is it 0? This is 0, or let's say this is 0 when x is equal to an integer fine. So when I consider the thing of phi 18, let's forget for the moment of phi a phi okay, so let me look at this. Okay, so the same function, it is a function which is at 0 minus 1 minus 2. It is a function that it is +1 here, and it is a 0 everywhere else. So it's a sort of thanks. Thanks. Fine. Yes. Right. So it's like it is a sort of infinite Lagrange polynomial. Anyway, we should think, we could think of it. And in fact, right, right. And after we make this observation, we can pretty much guess that a formula of the sort will give a solution to the sampling, to the interpolation problem. That's a solution of I can extract a function from these examples, equally spaced, and we will see that we can also solve the interpolation problem, like it with the polynomial. So if there are no, what time is it? 10:04? Yes. What about 10 minutes break? If nobody has anything,